One of the reasons that spelling in English is so weird is that we're a stress time language rather than a syllable time language. Some languages have exactly the same amount of time for each syllable. Supermarket, syllable, exactly the same for each syllable. But no, not in English. We choose particular parts of a word to stress, and those have a lot of time and the others are said quickly. I can give you a quick example. Let's take the two words big house. Well, obviously they're both important words, so we stress both of them. So big house, big house, big house. But if we add the indefinite article, we just say it like this: a big house, a big house, a big house. Can you see that the time is exactly the same whether we're saying big house or a big house? Let's add something else. Bigger. A bigger house, a bigger house, a bigger house. Again, exactly the same time as if we're saying big house, big house, big house. Now, of course, in order to do that, we have to squash the unimportant words and say them quickly, which means instead of saying we say a big. Instead of saying bigger, we say bigger. And have you noticed that sound? It's not bigger, it's bigger. It's not it's And that sound is called a shwa, actually. Now that sound is actually the most common vowel sound in English. We have all sorts of weird spellings for that little sound, as I've just shown you with the and the er. And there are other examples as well. Of course, with longer words, we stress particular syllables. So if we take supermarket, we're stressing su and ma, and that supermarket. And that changes the pronunciation of the other bits. So instead of super, it's super, and instead of market, it's market. So supermarket. So again, the way we stress our words changes the way we say them, which means they don't match the spelling, which makes English spelling quite difficult to understand and quite difficult to remember and difficult to teach. And that's the shame for us, of course. And the question, of course, is for you, what do you have to do about it in your teaching? And the good news is, you don't actually have to do very much. But there is one really crucial important thing. And that's that you yourself should be modelling the correct stressing of words in English. I get very worried when I hear teachers saying things like, "This is a book." We never speak like that. We never say a book, we always say a book. This is a book. And so we need to be speaking in that fluent, correctly stressed way so that children can copy us and develop the stress properly. Then, of course, we need to be listening out for those learners who have got problems. Problems so that the way they speak is very difficult to understand. It's all about communication. If their stress of English is good enough so everybody can understand them, that's probably the best we're going to get. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. But if the way they stress and pronounce their words actually makes it more difficult for us, or too difficult for us to understand them, then we might want to do a little bit of an intervention. And again, we model it. Anything like dialogues. I've got a few dialogues in Racing to English. Getting children to read dialogues together when we have modelled them first and talked maybe a little bit about how you stress the words and how you pronounce them. Dialogues are excellent. Anything else that you can get children to work together, often saying them in pairs. So if you've got one child who can stress their words properly, pair them with someone who's struggling and get them together to practice saying a short poem, a verse from a song, something like that, so that they're pronouncing it properly, or of course acting out a dialogue. But most of all, just simply be correct yourself and modelling it. And that's really all you need to do. If you're working with younger children, they will develop, especially in an English-speaking environment, they will quickly develop the correct pronunciation and the correct stress. older learners, it's so difficult, it's, say, not worth worrying about unless it's really getting in the way of their communication. Yeah, so really that's all I need to say about that. Model it. Great.